Welcome back, everyone. First off, I want to thank everybody who tuned in to my last video in regarding to me quitting cannabis. I really appreciate you guys tuning in, and anybody who commented or anybody who found the video useful. Like I said, I appreciate it, and it was a big step in my life. So to be able to share it with everybody was really a privilege to have shared it with everyone and been able to have gotten some genuine feedback on video. To address the heat that's going on with the world at the moment, I hope you guys are all safe and people are taking care of themselves and finding methods of keeping themselves cool. Because at the moment, it's to see people die from heat exhaustion and different type of heat related issues. It's really sad. I don't think it's any way anybody wants to die. So, like I said, be very careful, guys. If you're going to be walking, doing any form of vigorous activity, ensure that you're well hydrated, okay? So moving on to the actual video of today, I'm going to be discussing, and I spoke about this in two previous videos before, why my exchange was closed. Well, I actually explained in the video why the exchange was closed, but now I'm just going to go over the email to start of what Think Markets sent me. They didn't really give me a reason why, but I went in and I started doing some more digging after. And that's how I was able to figure out exactly why Think Markets closed my account, so to speak. So I can start off with the email first. So the email reads, "We're writing to inform you that services will no longer be available in your region. As a result, Think Markets will be closing your account, effective 12:30 p.m. GMT, March 24th, 2022. We trust that this will provide you with sufficient time to close out any open positions and withdraw your remaining funds via Think Portal. At this time, your trading account will be deactivated and you will no longer be able to place new trades or access your account on the Think Portal. We reserve the right to cancel any orders and to close any positions that remain open beyond 12 p.m. GMT, March 24th, 2022. Should you no longer be a resident," and this is the most important part here, "should you no longer be a resident of the region in which you first registered, please contact our support team with supporting documentation to update your address. Please note that such account closure is pursuant to the Think Markets terms and conditions to which you have agreed and can be found on our website. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us at compliance@thinkmarkets.com. So I didn't bother to contact them there. I kind of gave them I sent them a message in the chat to kind of get an understanding of why, but then they still redirected me to exactly what they said. It's basically part of the contract that I signed when I first signed up for Think Markets. So moving on with what this video is about. I took to the internet like most first-time traders would do. So I'm feeling a little bit like I'm going backwards now because I had been trading with Think Markets and using that exchange for, I think, 6 years. I was using Think Markets for. Prior to that, I had a few different exchanges that I used, but the main reason why I took to overseas-based brokers was because the leverage that they offered was much higher and more. It would more fit my trading style, right? The leverage for a lot of these overseas brokers will give you anything from a max of, I think it's 1 to 800, or some of them go up to a leverage of, I think, 1 to 1,000. But Think Markets was giving a leverage of 1 to 500 for any account, and you can open up to 6 accounts under your main Think Portal or your main account. Now, the reason why I liked that type of leverage was for the style of trading that I did. I didn't enjoy depositing large amounts, and I like to start at small amounts and scale upwards from those small amounts. Now, the reason why I never got caught up or invested in the Canadian market so much was due to, number one, I can't call them hoops that you have to jump through. The precautions that Canada takes before people begin to invest are the right ones, because you don't want to be investing money that you don't have, right? So with a lot of the Canadian brokers, they will ensure that they have access to or they'll want to know how much savings you have. They want to know how much you make, and they want to know how much debt you have, and all these things to really determine whether you should be investing at that moment, right? So usually the number one rule when it comes to investing, you do not want to invest something that you don't have. And if you owe money to somebody, then that's more likely money that you don't have because you owe somebody, right? So whether it be a credit company, a bill that you have to pay, if you have debt, then essentially you shouldn't be investing money because that money is technically not yours. You should be paying off your debt. So when I first started trading, I didn't have debt per se, but I was in a position where I didn't have much savings either. And I wasn't even fully aware of like overseas brokers and Canadian brokers. So my first experience was with using overseas exchanges. When I started to look into transferring over, and I know I spoke about this in another video where I was planning on transferring over my funds into a Canadian account and begin trading through there, it requires a substantial amount of money. And it basically requires full disclosure of anything and everything that you're doing, right? So I'm not hiding from anybody. I'm not hiding from the government. But personally, that was something I didn't want to have to tackle at the time, knowing full well that I can do a lot more with a leverage of 1 to 500, right? So I don't want to ramble too much about that topic. But essentially, like I said, the precautions that Canada takes in order to ensure that you're fit to invest are the right ones. So I was using Think Markets due to that reason for about 6 years. And obviously by that email, you can see that they've recently closed my account. Now, if you watch the video, I think it was 3 videos before this one, I've discussed an act that came in that required full disclosure. That is the reason why my broker closed our account. Basically, the Canadian government, if you're operating overseas and you're operating with any form of financial instrument, they need full disclosure from the broker to ensure that you're paying taxes on the money that you're withdrawing from those brokers. And the reason being is the crypto market. The crypto market had a huge boom for the last year and a half, I believe it was. We did watch crypto go from about 3,000 to upwards. I think it was the highest it hit was 67,000. So we watched it drop beginning of COVID, January 2020. It began to really plummet. It hit a low of, depending on the exchange that you're using, it hit a low of about 3,000, and then it skyrocketed over the course of that year. I think the peak was around November. And somebody correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. I think the peak was around November 2020. I can't recall exactly. I personally don't trade crypto. But the peak was around, we know what the peak number was, 60-something thousand, right? So, due to the fact that a lot of people were losing money and not disclosing money that they were losing or gaining, the Canadian government, and I can't even say it's the Canadian government, it's a specific, I can't remember the name of them, but like I said, I shot a video on it. They introduced an act where every, like I said, financial exchange needs to provide full disclosure to the Canadian government. Now, I took to YouTube in order to see if I could find another exchange that was based overseas, mildly regulated, because I know a lot of the regulations don't want to have to deal with the Canadian market, mildly regulated, and was accepting Canadian clients. The biggest issue with things like this is the fact that if they're not regulated in Canada, you're basically putting your trust in the broker to pay you. And that can get a bit sticky. Why? Because they have no obligation to pay out your money. Essentially, you'd have to come with a lawyer and lawsuits and all these different things in order to get paid. And what's it worth sitting at the computer, watching you make, let's say, $100,000, and when it comes time to withdraw, somebody's giving you a hard time withdrawing that money? It's extremely annoying. I've been there, guys, and you trust me, it's not something you want to do, right? So for this next video that I'm going to shoot, because this one went about 11-12 minutes, I'm going to be researching on YouTube what brokers are still open, I'm going to check out, do probably a keyword search and see what people are actually discussing. And per se, if you guys have a broker that you've been using and are successfully withdrawing from, then comment in the section below and leave the broker name. And I'm going to go through them, see if I could sign up, and I'm going to begin to start dabbling with that broker again. I always advise people, do not put money into broker accounts that you obviously don't have. I think $50, $60, $70 is money that people can spare. And with a good enough leverage, you can scale that money upwards to, you've seen me do it before. I don't have to be specific. If you've been following my channel for a while, you'll know what I did with $100. But like I said, I always advise people, don't put more than what you can lose. And with these exchanges, you really want to be mindful of that. Why? Because who knows if they'll pay you. I'd rather put $100 into account, turn it to 10,000 and not get paid, as opposed to put 10,000 in an account, lose 3,000, and then I'm looking to withdraw my 7,000 because I'm scared, and then I can't even get access to my 7,000 that I deposited. All right. So like I said, I'm going to be turning to the YouTube thing to kind of research and see what brokers people are dabbling with. And then I'm going to update you guys on what I found and possibly put out a string of videos of the new broker that I'm going to be using. So to round up the video, like I said, my exchange was closed on March 4th. And that's the reason why you guys haven't been seeing me upload anything trading related. I took a break from the charts, but I still have been keeping up with prices and looking at all my favorite pairs and ensuring that I'm still up to date with them, right? There's a few other things I want to mention. BitBuy from Canada did reach out to me for a affiliate link. I'm going to be looking into them when it comes to cryptocurrency. And so when it comes to the Canadian brokers, I'm not telling people to not invest in the Canadian brokers. It's just for people who are not as financially blessed, if I can say that, in order to have a large lump sum of savings and have money to spare and throw off like that. It's going to be a little bit more difficult for you to kind of learn this market and do the things you need to do in order to, when you do gain that substantial amount of income to deposit, you probably won't have no knowledge and your investing will land into somebody else's hands, right? So I think both routes are great. There's nothing wrong with the Canadian market. The only issue is that the leverage is only 1 to 50, and that can be difficult for somebody who's attempting to scale up a small account, right? In certain places like Alberta, you actually need $1 million in assets in order to even open up a trading account. So the bottom line is, what I'm trying to say is, they really make things difficult for people to invest in Canada, especially in the Forex market, right? So these overseas brokers can give you a bit of leverage, literally more leverage, and can give you more opportunities to work with smaller amounts of money, right? So this video ran on a little bit too long. I'm definitely gonna have to do some editing to finish it up, but I appreciate you guys again tuning in. And the next video is going to be not directly related to trading. It's going to take me a little while to formulate that broker video, but stay tuned for the next one. I really appreciate you guys tuning in again. It's been a while since I talked Forex. Felt really, really good. And I will see you guys in the next video.